Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are joining us from. My name is Mona Khojali, and it's my great pleasure to welcome you to this very special event, the announcement of the 2025 Nommo Awards Shortlist. The Nommos are presented by the African Speculative Fiction Society, also known as ASFS. We are a community of writers, artists, editors, and publishers of speculative fiction from across Africa and the African diaspora. The society was founded just under a decade ago with a simple mission: to celebrate and support African voices in science fiction, fantasy, horror, and all the rich imaginative forms in between. The awards were created to recognize and honor excellence in African speculative fiction. Each year, our members nominate and vote for works that stand out in their creativity, craft, and vision. The awards span 4 categories: the Ilubi Best Novel, the Novella, the Short Story, and the Graphic Novel. Together, these categories showcase the incredible breadth and depth of storytelling happening across the continent and beyond. This year is especially meaningful because we are announcing the shortlist here at Seattle Worldcon 2025, the largest and most important gatherings of speculative fiction fans and creators anywhere in the world. To have African speculative fiction celebrated on this stage alongside global voices is both exciting and affirming. It shows that our stories, our myths, and our futures belong not only to us, but to the world. So before we begin the announcement, I want to take a moment to thank all our members, supporters, and of course, the writers themselves. Without your imagination, there would be no Nommos. And now it is my pleasure to introduce our moderator today, Wole Talabi. Wole is an acclaimed multi-award-winning Nigerian author and editor. His novel, Shigdi and the Brass Head of Obalufan, I pronounced that wrong, Obalufon, a story of African gods liberating an item of power from the British Museum, won the 2024 Nommo Award for the Best Novel. His work continues to expand the horizons of African and global speculative fiction. Please join me in welcoming Wole Talabi.
Thanks a lot, Mona. And thanks everyone for joining us today as we make the announcements for this year's Nommo Award nominees. Before we begin announcing the nominees, I'd like to share a few thoughts on trends in African speculative fiction and what they mean in the context of the nominees for this year. One thing I have been really pleased to see over the years is that African speculative fiction has been in this continuous state of dynamic and multimodal growth, both locally at home on the continent and globally. And I think the shortlist this year reflects that. It features authors that are based on the continent and also authors in the larger African diaspora. It features stories by authors from multiple countries, 7 of them, I believe. It features stories that were released by publishers based on the continent, as well as publishers that are considered major international players and venues. It features fantasy, science fiction, horror, all the possible genres you can imagine, and sometimes all in the same story. And beyond that, all of these stories serve to illustrate the extraordinary range of the African imagination, from epic novels to intimate short fiction, bold novellas to vibrant graphic novels. African speculative fiction is producing stories that challenge conventions, explore complex themes, and experiment with the very form of literature itself. And it's my pleasure to be able to see the nominee list this year and to share that shortlist with you. So we begin looking at each category. As Mona mentioned, there are 4 Awards. And I think me personally, I am a huge lover of short fiction. I think the short form is one of the forms in which science fiction especially thrives, as well as fantasy. It is a place for thought experiment. It's a place for big ideas, bold experimentation. It's a place for clever reveals, for quick character studies, short, sharp revelations. And it's a category that I really enjoy seeing put on display. So it's my pleasure this year to let you know the 4 nominees for Best Short Story for the Nommo Awards. First, we have The Future Ancients by Mwenya S. Chikwa, which was published in Will This Be a Problem, the magazine. Mwenya is a Zambian writer and Ubwali Masterclass 2024 alumnus. His work appears widely in anthologies, and he is working towards a Zambian version of the 5th season, which I guess we're all looking forward to. I believe we have Mwenya online and should be able to say something.
Actually, Mwenya's apologized because of bad reception. So he sent in a recording, which I'm going to share with all of you now.
My name's Amlenga Mupinde, and I'll be reading from The Future Ancients on behalf of Mwenya S. Chikwa. Bukata blasted off in her family drifter, accelerating into Chepela's sky at the planet's teeth-rattling escape velocity. Gravity pushed her stiffly into her seat, triggering the drifter's AI to take over the rushed flight to orbit. The universe's dark, radiated womb greeted the drifter with a cushioning embrace as propulsion slowed. She was late for the clan's final assembly before departure. Outfit selection was a high art after all. Yet still turns to look back at her red-brown home for all her 16 years. The planet caught to her heart, a gentle touch that not so subtly prompted nostalgic memories of flying lessons that started before she could walk. Years of sacred teachings and 1,000 flights. Just her, her mother, and Muntali. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed that sample of The Future Ancients by Mwenya S. Chikwa. The second nominee in this category is Bodies of Sand and Blood by Plangdi Neple. Plangdi is a Nigerian writer and co-editor at Anathema, Spec from the Margins. His short fiction has appeared internationally and earned him the Brave New Weird Award. If we have Plangdi online, we do.
Thank you so much, Wole. And it's an incredible honor to be nominated for this award. This particular story came at a time when I was reconsidering staying in writing or not. So to see it accepted and recognized this way by peers whom I respect and appreciate a lot is extremely affirming to me. And thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for this.
You're welcome. Thank you very much for the awesome story. All right, that was Plangdi Neple. Next, our third nominee in this category is Warning Notes from an Annihilator Machine by Damilola Oyedotun, published in Lightspeed magazine. Damilola is a Nigerian writer of speculative fiction and contemporary fiction, winner of the 2022 PEN America Dow Prize and the Utopia Award. And when he's not writing, he works as an agile product owner. And Damilola is with us right now. Welcome, Dami.
Hi, Wole. Nice to meet you. So good to be here. This is my first nomination for the Nommo Awards. I'm glad. I'm happy that of the tons of stories that were up for voting, right? I was part of them. I don't take it for granted, actually, and I'm super glad to be among the shortlisted candidates. Thank you. Thank you to Nommo.
Thank you for joining us. And again, thank you. Thank you for the awesome story. All right. Next, I will announce the last but not least nominee in this category, which is From Across Time by Chisom Ume, published in Clarkesworld magazine. Chisom is a Nigerian fiction writer and poet. His story, Ancestors' Gift, won the 2024 Tractor Beam Contest, and his work has been featured in Year's Best African Speculative Fiction 2023, and is a finalist in the Seattle Worldcon Short Story Contest as well this year. So without further ado, Chisom, would you like to say something?
Hi guys. Hi Wole. Thank you very much for the nomination. I'm really grateful, and it's my first nomination as well. And it's such an honor to have my story alongside those of other colleagues and people that I respect in speculative fiction writing industry, if we can call it an industry. So I'm honored, and thank you very much for having me here. It's a great opportunity.
It's a pleasure to have you, Chisom. Thank you very much for the story.
Yeah.
All right. So those are the nominees for the best short story category. All four of them. I strongly encourage you to check out all their work. I believe all of them are available to read online for free. So for those of you joining us live for this announcement, please check out those stories. Okay. Next, I will be moving to the next category, which is the novella category. I think Chisom is still on the stream. Okay, there we go. So for the novella category, it's slightly different from the traditional definition of category in that some of you might be familiar with, which typically starts at about 17,500 words. In the African Speculative Fiction Society, we generally start counting novella from 10,000 words up and up. So I personally love the novella category, even though the short fiction category is, will always have my heart. The novella category is kind of where stories go to breathe a little bit, right? The carrying capacity of story for a novella is a bit higher. You can get more than one good character study. You can get a few good character studies. You can expand on a theme. You can layer a theme with a sub-theme. You can have a little bit of a subplot to what's the main thing going on. And that means these stories they can be a bit richer without overstaying their welcome. That's one of the things I love a lot about the novella category. So, who are the nominees for this year? I'll tell you. First, we have The Year of Return by Ivana Akotoa Ofori, published by Android Press. Ivana is a Ghanaian storyteller of fiction, nonfiction, and spoken word poetry, a Clarion West alumna. She curated the 2025 African Book Festival in Berlin and has been widely published and shortlisted for various awards. I believe we have Akotoa with us, and if we do not, then Mona will be accepting on her behalf.
I believe she is here in
Okay.
the attendees. If she can be promoted, please.
All right. Okay. They haven't been added as panelists, so I think we just need our admin to kindly do that. There we go.
Hello.
Hello.
This is my second time being nominated for a Nommo, and my first being nominated for the Novella category, and I'm really, really honored to be here, and among these like phenomenal writers that I look up to. Thank you so much.
Welcome. It's a pleasure to have you be nominated and to have your work be a banner leader for the ASFS this year. Right. Thank you very much. And next, I'll be announcing the second nominee in this category, which is In the Shadow of the Fall by Toby Ogundiran, published by Tor.com. Toby is a Nigerian author of Guardian of the Gods duology and British Fantasy Award-winning Jackal Jackal. He is a finalist for the Locus, Shirley Jackson, and Nommo Awards, and he's currently Assistant Professor of Professional Writing at the University of Oklahoma. And just like the spirit, Toby is with us in the room right now. Welcome, Toby.
Hi, Wole. Thanks for that lovely introduction. Nice to see you again. I'm incredibly honored to be honored with a nomination for In the Shadow of the Fall. It started out as a short story, for those of you who've read my collection, and I thought, it had a little more life. There was a little more to explore in the story. And I'm really, really excited about the reception it's received so far, particularly because, it's a primarily West African inspired fantasy focusing on the Orisha, as I have always wanted to see them portrayed in literature. I'm grateful to everyone who read and voted for it. I'm also grateful to the African Speculative Fiction Society, which I'm really, really glad exists, and it's my wish that it continues to grow and becomes a large and formidable force in the industry. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Toby. I did read the short story, and I remember thinking when I was writing a review for it that there's definitely more to this. And then lo and behold, there was more to this.
Yeah.
So congratulations.
Thank you.
All right. Next, I will be announcing the third nominee in the novella category, which is Lost Ark Dreaming by Sui Davies Okungbowa, published by Tor.com Publishing and Masobe Books. Sui is the award-winning author of Warrior of the Wind, Son of the Storm, and Marvel's The Intergalactic Empire of Wakanda. A 2024 Nebula finalist, he is a professor of creative writing at the University of Ottawa. And I believe we have a recorded acceptance, as Sui is not able to join us in person.
My sincere thanks to the publishing teams at Masobe Books and Tor.com, to my agent and editors who made this book a reality, to all readers out there who have loved Lost Ark Dreaming and nominated it for this award, and to the ASFS for continuing to host these awards year on year. I appreciate you all. Thank you very much.
All right, that was our recorded acceptance from Sui. Lost Ark Dreaming is a fascinating book, and I strongly encourage everyone to check it out. It is emblematic of something you find in, I think, all the best African speculative fiction. It completely is disrespectful of the concept of genre and is fully respectful to nothing except story. And it delivers that very well. So I encourage you to check it out, as I encourage you to check out all the nominees. Speaking of which, there's one more to announce in the novella category. The fourth nominee is The Practice, The Horizon, and The Chain by Sophia Samatar, published by Tor.com Publishing. Sophia writes fiction and nonfiction, author of A Stranger in Alondria and Chain. She's the winner of the William L. Crawford Fantasy Award, British Fantasy Award, and the World Fantasy Award. Her work has been shortlisted for the Hugo, Nebula, Philip K. Dick, and Locus Awards. And I believe since we do not have Sophia with us virtually right now, Muna will be accepting on her behalf.
Yeah, Sophia sent a message to say that she's very sorry not to be with everyone here today, but that she's delighted. What wonderful news to be nominated for the Nomos, and she's looking forward to finding out who will be the winner this year. So, fingers crossed to all of you.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Muna. It's really impressive to see the quality of work that was nominated in both categories this year, actually in all categories. And my congratulations to all of the nominees in the short story and in the novella category. We have 2 more categories to announce, so we'll move on quickly to them. The third category is the graphic novel category, where we have 3 nominees. The first nominee for graphic novel, which of course is a category for stories that are delivered both visually and in written form, in a combination of imagery and words, is You Have 10 Years by Morewa Ayodele and Mamode Ogbewele, with art by Dotun Akande and Samuel Iwunze, published as a free digital comic on globalcomics.com. Morewa Ayodele is a 2023 FIST Award winner, Writer of the Decade, co-creator of New Men, Akogun Brutalizer of Gods, and Marvel titles, including Storm and I Am Iron Man, and is the co-founder of Collectible Comics NG. Hi, Mora.
Hi, Toby. Thank you very much for the wonderful introduction. I'm honored to be nominated for this prestigious award. It's always an award I look forward to. I'm always keeping in touch, and I'm really, really honored that fellow writers and enthusiasts of this wonderful genre found our story really interesting and really worthy of this nomination, and I'm really, really grateful. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Muro. So Muro is accepting on behalf of the 2 writers and the 2 artists. I'll quickly read the short bios of the other members who couldn't be with us today. So Mamode is a lawyer and multi-award winning writer from Comic-Con Ibadan and Glyph Awards 2024. He's also the creator of the 2024 Nommo Award winning Grimm's Assistant, amongst other works. And he combines legal expertise, imagination, and Nigerian culture to craft compelling speculative fiction. Dotun Akande is also a FIST Award winning artist and co-founder of Collectible Comics NG, and is an illustrator for Marvel with Murawa, for I Am Iron Man, as well as Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, and co-creator of New Men and Akogun. And then Samuel Iwunze is an award-winning comic artist known for Suffer the Witch, Not to Live, DW's African Roots, and Motherhood in Crisis. He's a co-creator of Metala, the 13th, and an artist on multiple titles. Congratulations to all 4 of you.
Thank you very much. We're very grateful.
All right. And our second nominee, surprisingly, is Akogun, Brutalizer of the Gods, by Morewa Ayodele and artist Dotun Akande. Congratulations on the double nomination, Morewa. And our third nominee is Celestial Eyes, Volume 1, by author John Uche and artist Francis Goodluck, published on the Machine Publishing Cellar Store. John Uche is a Nigerian writer, poet, and editor whose work spans ghostwriting, comics, animation, and educational content. He's a versatile storyteller and committed reader with a love for food and words. Francis Goodluck is a comic artist and animator working across fantasy and science fiction. He's passionate about monster design and balances professional projects with gaming and constant skill development. And we have John Uche with us, representing the team behind Celestial Eyes, Volume 1. Welcome, John. I can't quite hear you, John. Is your microphone working? Okay,
You can hear me,
that's
yes?
a bit better.
Yeah, it's an honor to be here. I'd like to thank Nommo, the AF, the African Speculative Fiction Society. Celestial Eyes has been my idea of telling stories differently in relation to my Igbo roots. I love folktales, and I believe that if we are able to assimilate parts of our African culture with storytelling, would make stories that are not just better, not just extraordinary, but stories that are immortal, that live beyond us. Stories that have that Dorian Gray effect, where we stay forever young. And basically, Celestia is just my way of saying, hey, thank you to my Igbo roots, and thank you for the nomination. It's an honor to be here and an honor to be nominated.
Thank you, and congratulations, John. All right, so those are all the nominees in the graphic novel category. So now we'll quickly move to our final category, our fourth and final category, which traditionally would be referred to as the biggest category because it's the novel category. So, you know, if this were being measured by size, then the novel would generally be the biggest one. But this category holds a special place in my heart because, as Mona said in the introduction, I won this category last year. I was present in Glasgow to accept the award. And as I accepted the award, I permanently recused myself from the Nommo Awards going forward, making myself ineligible for any further Nommo Awards. And the main reason I did that was I wanted to, in a sense, make space for other people to share the joy and the recognition that I had received and I had benefited from when I won the award. And I wanted that to be able to go to other people, which is why I made that space. So it's been a big pleasure for me to see the nominees this year all be people that I don't believe have been nominated in this category before. I might be slightly mistaken with Nikhil Singh, potentially. My memory is failing me a little bit, but it's mostly new names in both the short fiction category as well as novel category. So it's my pleasure to introduce you to the nominees for the Ilube Award for Best Novel. Our first nominee is The Incredible Dreams of Garba Dacascos by Umar Abubakar Sidi, published by Masobe Books. Umar is a Nigerian poet and novelist and author of the collections The Poet of Dust and Like Butterflies Scattered About by Art Rascals. The Incredible Dreams of Garba Dacascos is his first novel. Congratulations, Umar.
Thank you very much, Wole. Thank you very much. This is really a great surprise to me, and I'm extremely glad and happy to be here. Personally, as a writer, I believe that the most important aspect of or role of literature and storytelling is to enchant the human mind. And I also believe that this is best achieved in exploring the terrains of the imagination, which are present in this speculative realm. So I'm extremely happy to be here in the midst of dreamers. It's really a great honor to be here, and I'm grateful to everyone who made this possible. Thank you.
Thank you, and congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Our second nominee in this category is The Smoke That Thunders by Eru Kume, published by Norton Young Readers. Eru is an Urhobo author and Nigeria's first female bizarro writer, known for The Smoke That Thunders and Love, Chaos, and My Cupid. She mentors emerging writers and founded the Storytellers Writing Retreat. I believe we have Eru in the virtual room with us. If not, perhaps Mona will be accepting.
It appears that Eru is not with us today. It might be, I've been receiving some messages about internet access. So in any case, I will speak on her behalf. I'm sure Eru will say that she is delighted to participate with us today at the Nommo Awards. And Eru is also a member of the ASFS for some time. And she was nominated last year, I believe, for one of the categories. So thank you to the Nommos. And I'll just take this opportunity while we're here to just say I'm putting in the names of all the winners in the Q&A. So we're getting some questions about that.
Right. The names of nominees, because
nominees.
Okay. You need to wait a bit more to get that information. All right. Our third nominee is Dakini Atoll by Nikhil Singh, which was published by Lunar Press Publishing. Nikhil Singh is a South African artist, writer, and musician, author of Tati Went West and Club Dead, and has been shortlisted for the Nommo Awards and BSFA Awards. Nikhil has also appeared at Africa Writes, the Oxford Literary Festival, Worldcon, Chimera, and the New York Review of Science Fiction. And we have Nikhil with us. Hi, Nikhil. Congratulations.
Hi, Wally. Hi, Muna. Thank you. I just want to say thanks so much to everyone at the ASFS for organizing all of this and all of the support for Dakini Atoll. So it really is a great honor. And thanks to my publisher, Lunar Press, and my wonderful agent, Sarah Such. I think what the ASFS has done to move African voices into the global realm is a critical thing, and it's moved to a new juncture now. And I'm happy to see it all expand and to be part of it. And yes, thank you.
Awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And our final nominee in the novel category is Womb City by Tlotlo Samath, published by Erewhon Books. Tlotlo is a Botswana author of The Silence of the Wilting Skin and forthcoming novels House of Margins and The Blood Winds. Tlotlo is a Rolex mentor and Protégé Arts Initiative Fellow and a former Nommo Short Story Award winner. Welcome, Tlotlo. You're muted. You can unmute yourself. All right. You're having issues with audio connection. Right. But it says you're muted. If you can you try unmuting your mic? All right. It's refusing to do that. We're having a HAL 3000 situation, aren't we? I'm sorry, I can't unmute you. Okay. Well, it's a pleasure to see you, and feel free to type a message in the chat and I will read it out for those listening. So I apologize a little bit. We'll have a bit of radio silence while Tlotlo is typing. All right. Tlotlo says, thank you so much to the ASFS for all the work you do. Thank you to everyone who voted. And thank you to my publisher and agent for making Womb City possible. Thank you all. I'm happy to be amongst such brilliant nominees. Thank you very much, Lotlo. Even though we can't hear you, we're happy to see you. And congratulations again. Okay, so those are the nominees for the Nommo Awards for 2025. I believe at this section, we will have a little bit of a discussion. We have some time. So if there are any of the authors available to speak briefly, and perhaps just reflect on what it means to be part of African speculative fiction right now. If I may take the liberty, I think I'll invite maybe one person from each category. So perhaps Sidi, if you can come online, Murawa, and let's see, who do we have? Toby, and Plangdi, perhaps, or whoever is available. Those are just suggestions. If anyone's feeling shy, you don't need to join in. Right. Hi, Mura. Hi, Toby. We have Plangdi with us.
Hi, everyone.
Yeah. Right. So congratulations, guys. No, thanks a lot, Gail. I think that's a reasonable number. If anyone else any of the other nominees wants to join in or say something, just raise your hand. Oh yeah, we're missing Sidi. Yeah, Umar Sidi. Okay, there we go. Welcome, guys. It is a little bit of a pity that actually, can we get Akotoa in as well, if you don't mind, Akotoa? I think we have enough space. Okay, thanks a lot, Gail. Right, so I'll just invite you guys to, now that the shortlist has been revealed, you know who your fellow nominees are, you know who's nominated in the other categories, you know the general framework of the awards. I'd just like to invite each of you to take a minute to reflect on the nominations, on the state of African speculative fiction, and how you're currently feeling, just a minute or two each. And we can begin with Murawa.
Okay, thank you, Wole. It's nice to see John Uche in the nomination list. I'm a big fan of his work. I love his work on Celestial Eyes. One of the things what I love about his character is that his character has white hair, just like Storm, where I'm writing right now. So it's really, really lovely. So it's nice to see it's happening just like you said, just not in the continent, but in the diaspora. We're seeing creators like Junibar, who's becoming an Eisner-nominated creator. We're seeing publishers like Comic Republic, the old guards of the graphic novel industry, and we're seeing new creators, like John Uche, that are doing amazing things. We're seeing creators, like I said, on the continent, in Ethiopia, in Kenya, and in Nigeria, in South Africa. And we're seeing them, and we're seeing everything in the US and in the UK, and they're doing well in every single aspect. And many of them are working also in big two comics. That's like the Marvel, the DC, telling exciting, fun stories and putting a lot of African flavors, a lot of African stories into it. We're seeing Unique Studios that's working on Iyanu, a very African-centric story, getting an animation adaptation. It's a fun time to be in the graphic novel industry right now, telling fun stories and having a lot of fun in both the fantasy, sci-fi, and all aspects. And just the African visual has never been as strong as it is right now. A lot of expressionistic work to photorealistic work. It's just it's a wonderful time to be in comics.
Indeed, a wonderful time indeed. Before we move on, I'd just like to quickly let the audience know, anyone listening, now that you know the nominees, please feel free to ask questions in the Q&A. If there's anything you'd like to know from the nominees or anything about the shortlist that you want to ask, feel free to put your questions in the Q&A section. Remember, we have 4 nominees in each category, except for graphic novel, where we have just 3. So feel free to address your questions to any of them, and if they're available, they will ask. All right. I think Crystal has her hand up. If you can put your query as a question, Crystal, that would be great. Right. Akotoa, do you want to say something? General reflections on the shortlist?
Yeah, so first of all, I'm very happy that the African Speculative Fiction Society even exists, and that it's being able to be on a platform such as this one. I think for me in particular, I find myself increasingly taking more pride in the fact that I am Ghanaian because I feel like there's quite a number of instances where I have been, approached and told that, thank you for being a Ghanaian in the speculative fiction space, which I think may be an indication that there aren't, enough of us. I'm just really happy to be part of this growing movement with growing interest in African speculative fiction, because I feel like there's so much indigenous talent, especially on the continent, that hasn't yet had the chance to blossom. And I think more and more over the last, especially the last 5 or so years, I have been seeing more and more work being put out, and I consider myself really lucky to be on such platforms for my debut novella, because I don't consider myself a prolific writer at all. And so the fact that my first book has even gotten this far is incredible to me. And so I'm really happy to be here and to be part of this emerging movement.
Thanks a lot. Sidi, you want to share some thoughts, general comments, just for a minute or
Yeah.
two?
Okay, thank you very much, Wole. So for me, this is my first time engaging seriously with this very great and important community. And what this tells me is just a reaffirmation of what I've always believed, that in Africa we have rich, deep, original, and unexplored terrains. And what may sound fantastical to other people is real to us. So there's this story where I was talking to my cousin, and she told me she visited someone in the village, and they told her, please don't sit there. You know, the spirits, the jinns come, and that's where they keep their things. And it made me, that made me to think and to reflect deeply that in a way, for her, for those people, the jinns, they live with the jinns live among them. And that is their own reality. And it is so delightful to see that there is a great movement, you know, that is encouraging writers to explore these very original and organic stories that are real and very natural to us. And I'm also seeing it being reflected in the Nigerian literary space. There is a novel, a collection of short stories published by Masobe, Not So Terrible People, by Nana Sule, which is also speculative in a way, and also a reflection of the reality of the people. So I'm very delighted to be here.
Thanks a lot, Sidi.
Thank you.
All right, Plangi, you want to share some thoughts?
Yeah, I think I would like to start with saying thank you again for having me here. It's just this is my first time being nominated, and like I said, this story means a lot to me for so many reasons, and this is just another in a long line of things that make me believe I should have written that story, which I did. And I would like to agree with what Muriel said about this being a great time to be in African speculative fiction, because we're seeing things that we hadn't seen in like 5 years prior. For example, we have this author, Naomi Eselojo, who was able to get a global talent visa just based on her short stories and awards she has gotten from that. So that is great. And then, like Akotoa also said, there's a lot of indigenous talents that we are seeing being nurtured and then broadcast to the international community, where before they might have just been, let's call them local champions, I guess. Which in and of itself is not bad, but then being able to see our work on a wider stage is really great and does really great things for us. And another thing too that CD said about blending genres, especially between speculative and literary, a lot of the time speculative fiction can come across as I guess unserious or flimsy to people who don't understand what speculative fiction can do and can be used to do. So seeing it celebrated in spaces like the Worldcon here, and especially by the African Speculative Fiction Society, is great because it reinforces what we do and it helps us keep going.
Yes, indeed. Thank you, everyone that supports the ASFS. Toby, last but not least, I think.
Yeah. Just gonna echo what everyone has said about being really pleased with the current state of the African Speculative Fiction Society. Even writers who are not part of the society but out there doing explicitly speculative African, things, be it fiction or graphic novels or, script writing or whatever. And I'm really, really excited in particular for, the prose category. When I started publishing in 2018, there were, I was looking for specifically Black stories, and there were the African American writers, N.K. Jemisin, P. Jelly Clark, and there were just a handful of African writers, Wole included, Tade Thompson, Darius Fatherwell, who should keep writing, and that kind of gave me liberty to be explicitly and unapologetically, African in my speculative fiction. And I'm really, really pleased to see more and more writers, each year embrace this genre, write really original and exciting stories. And it's my hope that, it's going to continue to grow and grow. Yeah, it's a fun time to be a writer, a creator in the African speculative fiction space. And yeah, fun time.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks a lot, Toby. Right. So as I said, if there's any questions from the audience, please feel free to put them in the Q&A. And if not, I think we can take a few more reactions. All right, we'll not be taking questions live in this panel. Yep. If there's any questions in the Discord, I'm also keeping an eye on that as well. If not, what I'll do is take the opportunity and the few more minutes we have to bring in, say, three more nominees, just to get their thoughts and general reactions. So if there's any three that would like to say something, feel free to raise your hand. Okay, so we have Nikhil. If you could please add Nikhil in, and Chisom as well. Perfect. Okay. I think those two is fine. So we have Nikhil and we have Chisom as well. So yeah, what I'd love to do is just get your general thoughts on the overall shortlist and the current state of African speculative fiction in the next few minutes. You can start, Nikhil.
I forgot to congratulate all the other nominees, so I just wanted to do that. The other thing is, CD had a point, which I've thought about as well, which I agree, is that the perception of reality is very important in indigenous communities, usually south of the equator, which I find is the biggest clash with the established, paradigm of literature where things are real, things are not real. And for me, that's the most exciting part about this mix now, and where I think things could elevate. And I enjoy the dissonance sometimes between the two, but I find that that's the place for growth, because these things also exist in the West. You see these sorts of things. So I think that having a mainstay that's connected to that world through this sort of organization, that's the part that I think is the most critical. More than mixing into industries, I think that it's enlarging the paradigm of speaking in terms of experience. What a person feels is their reality. That's all I really wanted to say, to be honest.
Thanks a lot, Nikhil. This is a point that's close to my heart, so I won't say much on it, but suffice to say, I am writing a story that overtly tries to marry the two, and it's been a lot of fun. Basically blending quantum physics and spirituality.
Oh, cool.
If I'm being honest, it's more than one story. It's been an obsession of mine for a while.
That's awesome.
But yeah. Yeah, Chisom, you want to say something?
Yeah, once again, I'd like to thank the ASFS for basically existing and year after year, I think since 2018, catering to the African speculative community. It's a wonderful thing to know that an organization like this, or a society or a community like this, exists, where that's our own, that's for us Africans. And we don't have to look always to the BSFS or the the Hugos or all of those other things. This is ours. This is for us Africans, and it feels good. So also one other thing observation I have for the Worldcon in general, and where I hope we as Africans would be in the near future. I know there's an observation I have that most of the panels here on the Worldcon for African panelists always have something like African in the title, speculative fiction in the African community. Most Africans are congregated in these categories that they say African something, like the music in Nigerian fiction or revolution in African, and it feels like the bulk of us are collected in this African box where we're just talking to ourselves. I feel like maybe next year or something, we should be more on panels that have to do with general stuff, something like world building in speculative fiction, not world building in African speculative fiction, world building in speculative fiction in general, or villains in speculative fiction. The categorization feels like we are still somehow boxed in. So that's an observation that I have. As for where we are now, I think we are doing well, and to even be on the Worldcon, and I think this is the Worldcon that we've had so many Africans, participate, and it's wonderful to see. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, Chisam. It's a point I've made myself before, so it resonates, and I'm sure the feedback will go through. Thank you very much, everyone. Congratulations again to all of you. I am very proud to say I have read pretty much all of your work, except the graphic novels. I apologize. That's like a big blind spot for me. But all of the short fiction and novellas and novels, I have read all of them, and they are all fascinating and definitely worthy of being honored and nominated in this category. So well done to everyone. And with that, I will pass the proverbial microphone back to Mona to give closing remarks.
All really I have to say is thank you all for joining us. It's a real honor to be here with our extended family at Seattle Worldcon. And a special thank you to the programmers and to the technical teams that have made this happen. I also want to let you know that we will be publishing all the names of the shortlisted nominees on our website. So that is www.africansf.com. Please come and visit us there to learn more about what we do. If you're not a member and you are an African, and also understanding more about what our expansive description of what an African is, come to our website. We look forward to seeing you at all our other events. I do have one more thing to say. The award winners for the Nommos will be announced this year, very exciting, in person at the Ake Arts and Book Festival to be held in Lagos, Nigeria. So we hope we will see you there. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mona, and thank you everyone for joining us.